meters from us, so 15 feet or so, and eating something called zebra wood. And if there's ever anything that's going to go through the tires on this brand new car, it'll be a zebra wood. They've got very spiky thorns. It doesn't seem to affect the elephant at all, and they love zebra wood. Oh, another whole lot coming across. The little one here. This is one of the little ones that was diving around in the sand there a little bit earlier. Look at him. Look. See how close he is. He's not worried by us, he's just interested. There we go. Isn't that marvellous? Tossing a bit of sand around. And just along the lines of how human they are in so many respects. Curious one, you say that the littlest one is a bit like your younger brother, starts the trouble and then you get blamed. I think it's pretty much my sister certainly had the same privilege. She's much younger than me, started a lot of trouble. I took a lot of blame for it. She'd probably tell you the opposite. She'd be wrong. He's back onto the zebra wood there, definitely selecting that. And that tree, of course, grows into a furniture or a planking tree. I mean, you can plank it. In the absence of elephants, it makes beautiful zebra colored wood, black and white, gorgeous heartwood. But out here, not so much. And in fact, it has been used quite a lot to make musical instruments like clarinets. But you wouldn't make much of a piccolo out of that tree. And that's because the elephants keep breaking it, and then it grows from the base, and it never has a chance to actually grow a proper trunk. I'm just going to reverse slightly. Our new friend from Texas, or perhaps not new, Erlene, I'm not sure how long you've been watching, but marvellous to hear from you. Erlene in Texas, you love the way they eat with their feet. It is really fascinating. Oh, what a vicious fellow. Don't worry about us, we're just coming to have a look at you. Very nice. Don't worry about us, we're just coming to have a look at you. Sorry, that wasn't very nice of me to move actually. We'll just go a little bit forward again. So Erlene, that's how we're going to pronounce your name unless we hear anything otherwise. We shall not pronounce it earline ever again. Thank you, Erlene, for emailing us and explaining that to us before we insulted you. We do seem to be on something of a major highway at the moment. Sorry about that. Not much we can do about it. I'm just going to move forward out of Doug's way. There we go. How are you doing? Yeah, you like them. They won't look like this for long. That was Doug just admiring the new wheels. Yeah, we're back with this youngster eating his zebra wood. So the trees still taking a hammering from the elephants. The elephants, of course, will ideally eat grass when the vegetation, well, when the rains come, because they prefer the softer vegetation. But this time of the year there's no really green grass, no long green grass, because we haven't had proper rain yet, and so they must eat the trees still, which is okay. Trees have all flushed, lots of good stuff to eat. Right, let us roll gently along the road. There is another herd, well, way up on the other crest there. I just want to get within sort of radio distance of Arathusa so we can get an update on those leopards, on the off chance that they're around and we're able to go and see them. So that's what we're going to do. Still not. There, Andrew.
Yes, wonderful.
Marvelous. Do you think that they will deposit some rain on us today?
Hopefully so.
Hopefully. Tell you what, have you got some duct tape? You do. Some gaffer tape. Everybody, I'm afraid I can take that rattling sound no longer. I'm just going to fix it quickly. Because we don't have Brent, you're going to have to watch me do it. Don't worry. I shan't take long. That's not going to work, is it? I may have taken a bit too much off there.
A little bit too eager.
A little bit eager. There we go. That's going to make a big difference. The cuckoo calling in the background there.
Not that.
That wasn't a cuckoo, that was Andrew, with some kind of dread disease that he's now going to give to me. The cuckoo that you can hear there is a black cuckoo going, "I'm so sad." The black cuckoo, and just arrived back. I started hearing them a little about 4 days ago. Right, door shuts on this car, so remarkable. There you go. Soundless motion, Andrew, you see that? I fixed my jack, now you fix your aerial. Not so much. Go just now.
Sounds worse, actually.
It actually does sound worse. Return of the European bee eaters. They make a lovely chirruping call, and if you've never seen a European bee eater, I'll show you a picture just now. They're like little F-16 fighters. They're very beautifully coloured golden, blue and green birds, and they fly very high and go choop, 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 choop. That made me think immediately, of course, of Larry's bird, the woodland kingfisher. And Larry, we haven't heard any yet. They should be back, I think, probably around about this week. So hopefully fairly soon. Again, an inquiry that is not uncommon from our younger viewers. Cameron, aged just 5 years old, thank you again for your question. Has a bird ever pooped upon me? Cameron, yes, a bird has pooped on me, probably 3 or 4 times. Never really in an enormous amount, but I did have a girlfriend at one stage of my life, believe it or not, and she went running one day and she put her earphones in, and this was down the road at Londolozi. It's very silly to run in earphones in the bush because you can't hear what's coming, and she was running along listening to some song, probably not a very good one, and a hardy-dar, which is a big bird like that, Cameron, exploded out of the bush in front of her. And often when animals get a big fright, what they do is that they go to the loo, they poop, they void their bowels, and this enormous bird released all of the internal parts of its waste matter, so it had a big poop and it went all over her, and she was very upset for some time. I had a quiet laugh to myself. Needless to say, we are not together anymore. Now, one of the skills that is the most difficult to master as a guide is the skill of driving and not actually looking where you're going. And then not driving into anything. The actual act of driving and looking backwards isn't hard. The act of driving, looking backwards and not killing anybody is a lot harder. Rudy in California, you want to know when I was driving in England, is this how I drove around? Rudy, they wouldn't let me near the wheel of any car that I went in. I thought that was a bit rude, but probably a good judgment on their part. No, I try to keep my eyes front when I'm driving in if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem will seem to look like a nail. And the same can be applied in the modern setting to this magnificent substance called duct tape. And Cecilia, you were most impressed by my duct tape fixing, thank you for that. And Erlene, you say your husband suffers from an infliction of the law of the instrument where all DIY problems are solved with some duct tape. And the antelope that we get here, huge difference. A totally different sub-tribe. So you get species, you get genus, you get family, and then you get tribe. And the tribe of the antelope and deer is different, and the most obvious difference, I mean, they're not ecologically that different. They play a very similar role, and there are areas of South Africa where imported deer live very successfully, and certainly areas of the States where I know that there are farms in Texas that have enormous numbers of wildebeest on them, for example, so they can survive there. But the major difference, the most obvious difference... Oh, hang on, I've got Brent hailing me on the radio. I'm going to stop here and just quickly finish what I was saying there, Grant. The most obvious difference, of course, is that a deer has antlers. They fall off every year, as far as I know, and come back at the end during the next breeding season, and an antelope has got horns that stay its whole life long. If it loses them, they don't grow back. I'm just going to quickly talk to Brent. We're at the junction of good Pump House, Red Dam. Okay. Let me call myself in there quickly before Andrew can do it. Any station, Arathusa, do you copy? Yes. Oh, you're getting an answer. Marvelous. Can I have a vehicle lineup for the sighting of mating pair?
It's a standby 1 available.
Thank you very much. I would like to take that, please.
Copy, you can speak to Jason and Darby. They're in the lock there.
Copy, thanks very much. Can you just give me the position?
You come on Mafukunyan and Glela, just behind Red Dam in the Chukovanin. Yeah, you go past the pump house. There's a 2-track that can us north.
Okay, copy that. So confirm, best approach to come sighting at a time. So that's very important. It doesn't pressurize the animals. It makes it a better experience for the guests that come out here. And they're, of course, a crucial part of keeping the wilderness alive here. So we're on second standby. That means we are the 5th vehicle. So we're just going to drive around, see a few more things, and wait for somebody else to move out of that area. The leopards are waiting for you. Shout loudly, I will hear you and I will come back. Now. Good?
Yes.
Work for you here?
Yes.
Right, there is the frame of my art. I will do a quick map of South Africa, just to give you a vague idea of how it works. I never know which way this thing goes. It goes like that. No, it doesn't. It's the other way. Something like that. That is a really terrible map of South... Don't laugh, Andrew. Terrible map of South Africa. Cape Town is here. Johannesburg is here. Pretoria is here. Durban is here. Port Elizabeth is here. My mum and dad live here in Kenton-on-Sea. You don't need to worry about that. The Kruger National Park is in this section here of South Africa. That's the Kruger. Right. Now we will zoom in a little bit. And I will draw a larger scale map of the Kruger National Park. Kruger Park looks something like this. Can you still see that?
Yes.
Looks like a large boot. Something like that. And we sit over here on a private reserve called the Sabi Sands. Well, pretty much in the boot there. There's a little reserve called the Manyeleti over here and the Timbavati over there. Now the major rivers that go through the Kruger Park are as follows. In the top here, the mighty Limpopo, which forms the border. This is Mozambique and that is Zimbabwe. Then the next biggest one is the Luvuvu, which goes like that. The next biggest one, Pamela, is the Olifants. No, sorry, I'm talking rubbish. It's the Letaba, which goes through there. Then there's the Olifants, another big one. And the Sand River is not really very big at all. So there's no really major river until you get to the Sabi River, which is this boundary here. The Sand River cuts in, it's not too far from here, cuts down into the Sabi there, like that. It actually joins at the Kruger Park. boundary, sorry, somewhere around there. And then this one here is called the Crocodile River. So those are the major rivers of the Kruger National Park, and we're sitting here on the western fringes in the Sabi Sands, and actually on the western fringes of the Sabi Sands. How'd you like that, Andrew?
Nice artwork, Picasso.
Thank you very much. I once had a report from an art teacher at school which said his work lacks finish, and he was referring to a clay sort of project that we did, and I made a beer mug for my father, which I thought was very nice of me. Unfortunately, it didn't in fact hold liquid, and so it wasn't, I think lacking finish was quite a kind description of my beer mug. Right. Still no chance for us to get into the leopard sighting just yet. But fear not, be patient everyone, as I must. You know what we need to do, Andrew?
Spotlight.
We do need to fix the spotlight. Okay, so while we're sitting here, let's attach the spotlight. People, I'm sorry about all the maintenance that we have to do today, but there really isn't... Okay, sorry. Brent is about to get up and running, so we don't need to do the maintenance just yet. We do have to stick a spotlight onto the battery, we won't see it. So Brent apparently is about to get moving, and we'll do that while he's getting moving, with any luck. What I do need to do is just check the map of exactly where they are. Marvellous things, these GPSs. Oh, for goodness sakes, here we go. Brent is mobile. I think he's got a view of the Democratic Republic of the Congo or something odd like that. We'll hand you to him and see you just now.
With you for a bit longer, and Eugenius has managed to figure out what was wrong. Unfortunately, in doing so, we do have an open game drive mic. It seems like our radio comms were interfering with our signal, so we're going to be operating on an open radio and a handheld. So hopefully it works. So we're just not sure what's going on out there, so we're just going to bumble around and see what we can find. Hopefully we'll have a little more success on Djuma than James did a bit earlier, but I know you guys are waiting for something special on that side. I'm a little bit jealous. I was actually on my way there when our tech problem arose. Maybe we can find some ellies. I wouldn't mind some ellies. Brian, elephants? There you go.
Nice.
I heard you had a fantastic ellie sighting with James, and from that ellie sighting, Hilda, who's from Antwerp in Belgium, the home of diamonds, well, not the home of diamonds, but I think that's where all the diamonds go to be seen and sized and graded and whatnot. Hilda's wondering how many different calves can a female lifetime. Oh, I'm a bit rusty on this, but if I remember correctly, it's 5 or 6, and most of the time those are raised to adulthood. So even though they might not have that many babies in their lifetime, they're very successful mothers. And we'll work it out. An elephant lives to 65, probably has her first baby around 15 or 16. We need 5, yeah, so probably about 6 would be my guess. I will double check that a little later in my large book. Should have some information on how many calves she has, but if my memory serves me correctly, it should be around 5 or 6. Oh, and we have a pair. I'm talking about babies and making babies, and I know James is on standby for some baby makers. And we've got two who probably have already started the process of making babies in the tree. And it is our resident pair of Wahlberg's eagles that live just below our camp, and they're having a look at us. They're very interested in us at the moment, and you can see their nest to the right. And I'm quite sure by now they've got eggs. And these two are really, really relaxed. Their nest's right next to the junction of two roads, and we drive past them so often. They are very, very relaxed around the vehicles. They don't fly off. Now, who can tell which is the male and which is the female? I'm joking. I can't tell either. I think the only way would be to actually see them caught in the act. As with a lot of your Aquila or true eagles, it is nigh impossible to tell the difference between a male and female. Normally the female is a little bit bigger, and obviously she's a bit bigger because she needs to produce eggs, so she needs a lot more sort of storage for fat and other things in her body to be able to produce those eggs. You can see that little crest. That's a very indicative sign of a Wahlberg's eagle. So we've got two pairs that I know about on Djuma. This one, which is a pale, both pale morphs, and there's one that's a pale morph and a dark morph. But they're settling in for the night, so we're not going to disturb them any further. One bird I have heard calling, which I'm quite excited to show you, and it's not that which I know James has spoken about earlier on safari, but it's a very close relative. Brian and I actually had a quick glimpse of them today while we were off air, while we were tracking the Tsalala Pride, and it's the African cuckoo, and they fly around going cuckoo, cuckoo. Probably not the best impression of an African cuckoo ever, but it does sort of sound like they're saying cuckoo. Now, the European and African cuckoo look very, very similar, and one of the ways to tell the difference is the fact that the African calls and the European is silent while in Africa. Whether chameleons have or have cognitive control over their coloration, or is it reactive to light? Because I think it's a bit of both. So chameleons do have some control, and I think some of their control, some of it is not control. When a chameleon is threatened or whatnot, it definitely makes a conscious decision to change control, and you even get that orange under the throat as a sort of warning sign. But when we shine the lights on them at night, they're very white and pale when we first see them, but then they change to green a bit later. So I think it's possibly a combination of both, but again, some more homework for me to check up on. And one of my most favorite small creatures are going to start making a proper appearance probably after a little bit more rain, and that's the different frog species we get here. And Pamela's wondering, do we have any tree frogs? Pamela, we've got quite a few different tree frogs, and she says her brother lives in PR. I'm trying to work out where PR is. Pamela, let me know where PR is. I don't think, any ideas, Brian? Puerto Rico, maybe? Maybe Puerto Rico would have nice tree frogs, and they say they've got cacos or keko tree frogs that go Bo Peep, Bo Peep. Ah, yeah, yes, good guess, Puerto Rico. We do have quite a few. Our most common is called a grey tree frog, which is also the foam nest frog, and they do not have a very nice call. In fact, they just go little sort of grunt. And we do have quite a few other types of tree frogs. A lot of the tree frogs, though, not so many in this area, but there are quite a lot of tree frogs in Africa. And here we've got frogs that are quite similar to tree frogs, which are reed frogs and leaf folding frogs, that also have the little sticky suckers on their feet, and they climb up aquatic vegetation. Christine, a very amusing comment, because she's wondering whether I hear the voices of the radio in my sleep. Well, Christine, only the voices of Final Control. You're live, you're live, you're live. Sometimes repeated incessantly. But no, generally I'm quite good. I can switch that off when I go to bed. I do, however, sometimes hear lions roaring in my sleep, and generally when I do, they actually have been roaring, and it's my subconscious, I think, telling me I need to go find them in the morning. And same with leopard.
Any updates?
There we go. Nothing further, Craig.
Thanks, Brent. Give me the sponsor for Victoria Gary Pan the other day.
Negative, Craig. I couldn't see the tracks. They'd already been driven over by the time we went there. I walked the block between Buffalo's Hook and Quarry Pan, but I didn't get any luck. Sorry about that. I'm back with you after my brief chat with Craigie boy. So we're getting to that time of the night where a spotlight is not quite useful yet, but it's still dark. We have to sort of check a little bit more carefully with the naked eye. And I've had some of my most fond leopard memories on this road. It was just literally right here in the drainage line where I walked on foot the first leopard when I arrived, tracked and found the first leopard when I arrived at Wild Earth, and it turned out to become very quickly my favorite leopard. It was Djuma. It was one of Karula's sons. He is doing well into the to the east and south of us, last I heard, and he actually killed a bushbuck down in this drainage line, and we found him on foot feeding on that, and he gave us quite a lot of wonderful sightings from there. And he also had that mad moment when he climbed up to the top of a dead leadwood tree, and then it started breaking, and there's no possible reason why he would have climbed that tree apart from for fun. And I think that's why I like that leopard so much. He was slightly mad in the head like me. And actually, Ryan, we can actually see the leadwood tree through the gap there that he climbed. Let's try and put a gap there. There we go. We're going to have to look through a bush, I think. It's going to be the best. Where do you think, Brian? A little bit further? Which one is it? It's that dead tree right at the back. There. That tall dead tree there. There we go. There's the top branches of that. And he nearly made it up to that height in that leadwood before the branches started getting a bit rickety, and he sort of panicked a little bit and came down in a hurry. And I do love the smells at the moment. Definitely some wild jasmine flowering in the drainage line here, and we just this wonderful sweet smell. Can you smell that, Brian? Oh, wonderful. numerous different animals there, and Country Gal Ash is wondering if we get any wolf species in the area. Most definitely not, Ash, I'm afraid. No wolves this far down in Africa. Very interesting though, there was thought to be no true wolf species in Africa, although the Ethiopian wolf or Simian fox, which lives up high in sort of right up in North Africa in Ethiopia, is probably descended from grey wolves. And there was a very strange species of golden jackal found in Egypt, which now with genetic testing turns out to be a remnant population of grey wolf. So the only wolves that live in Africa are in the far north. There are no wolf species down this side. We do have other canids though. Canids are part of the dog family. We have jackal, and we have two species of jackal in this part of the world. We have the black-backed jackal and the side-striped jackal. And then the other canid that occurs here, and it's my favorite animal, it is the African wild dog or painted wolf, Licon pictus, which basically is the Latin name, which translated means wolf painted, if we go the right way around. And they are not related to wolves as such, but we will get back to this because James has got some fornicating felines.
Hello everybody, we are here with Shadow and Tingana, who are, well, they're not doing much really. They're just sleeping there in a probably post-coital bliss, but apparently they haven't been mating much today at all. So perhaps, much like when we saw Karula and Tingana when she came into estrus, perhaps they're just not into the full swing of things. And for those of you who've never watched leopard mating before or any kind of cat mating before, it is really astonishing. They will probably mate when things get really going. They will mate up to probably 10 times an hour at the real height of the mating. But at the moment, these two beautiful cats are just sleeping quietly in a very thick area. Only space for 2 vehicles, that's why it took us a little bit longer to get in here than I'd hoped. But now we are here, we'll spend a bit of time with them and just enjoy what I think is Africa's most beautiful cat. That's the male there. That's Tingana, a 9-year-old male, and Shadow, a 9-year-old female. And she's up and about. Now, I don't mean that she's kind of running around the place, but she won't sleep as soundly as him. If she's coming into estrus, she will be highly charged, and you'll find that she'll be feeling probably uncomfortable. Now, the really interesting thing for me about this is that Shadow was in estrus some time back, probably about 2 months ago. She had an extensive mating incident or affair with this male, Tingana, and also the Anderson male from further west of here. And if she's now, oh, look at that big chap, if she's now in estrus again, chances are, well, definitely, that she definitely didn't fall pregnant last time round from either of those 2 males. So if you are sending through questions, I'm afraid we are having some difficulty with the radios. So if you are sending through questions, we will try and get them to you. We'll try and answer them as quickly as possible, but we are in a very thick area, and that does make communications a little difficult. And just on the topic of the amount of mating that poor old Tingana's had to do, I'm being sarcastic when I say poor Tingana, it is amazing, and as Gerda, as you say, he's had to be a very busy boy. He certainly has. I'm just going to wait for this other vehicle to move out, and then we'll probably try and get into the area where he was. I might actually have to get out of his way, otherwise I don't think he's going to get out of here. He's in an enormous car, unlike this very nimble little thing that we have. It's a bit like Brent Leo Smith versus me, you know, nimble versus lumbering.
Are you playing with something?
Oh, yes. We're playing with a piece of plastic.
Yes, very, very noisy.
Sorry about that, Andrew. God, difficult to please. He's been very obstreperous today. I think this is an interesting... Sorry, before I comment on what has been commented on, I'm just going to move forward a bit and see if we can get a slightly better view before the other vehicle comes in. Oh dear. It's close. I nearly turned us over. That's marvellous. How's that, Andrew?
That's good.
Say when. A little bit more?
I think a little bit back.
A little bit back. So.
A little bit more. Okay, stop.
Marvellous, marvellous. So I think what I heard was, Janet, you were saying that, or asking, do I think he knows the difference between the two females? Yes, I definitely think he knows the difference between them. They are mother and daughter, and so they probably seem quite similar to him, but I'm sure he knows the difference. Beautiful, isn't that wonderful? Incredible shot with a big male in front. Oh dear. Andrew? I've lost a picture completely. You think we're okay? It's probably just the HDMI. There we go, we're back. Not sure if you lost any picture there, everybody. A couple of cable issues here that we're just sorting out. Engineer Andrew is on the money. And as I was saying, you can just see that she is far more aware and awake than he is. Okay, I'm just going to call in the other vehicle. Louis, do you copy? Make your way. I think Andrew's pulled up. Perhaps if you're a new viewer and you're not familiar with the radios, we do need to stay in radio contact with the other guides around the place, because they do obviously help us find sightings, and likewise we help them. There we go.
For you getting in, I think you just go past that water pump there, and then
And even in this light, you can see the difference in the size. She is much smaller than him.
Game drive tuner. It's a game drive tuner.
I think so.
Yes, I know so.
I think it's affecting the sound.
Turn it off, I think. You
Can't. I don't even know if we're live. You've got view, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Oh no, I hope people are seeing this. Oh. Oh, here we go. You got a picture?
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm not sure if we live, if we are. What an astonishing thing to see if we are live. This is just fantastic. Louis, yeah, just keep coming straight behind me. You should get a view. I'll try and move forward when you're in. I'm going to have to turn the radio off. It's interrupting our broadcast. So will you take over control, please? Okay, everybody, we are live. Apparently we do have a picture. That is excellent news indeed. I don't think the radio is actually making a difference. I think it's something else. Now, Rex, wonderful. Just getting messages that we are live, that despite the fact that I can't see what's going on, you can see and hear what is going on. So, marvellous to see leopards mating. And I just want to give you an idea of how incredibly close they were to us. They're probably less than, I'd say, 4 feet from us. So that aggressive mating affair that we just saw was less than 4 feet from us. It's absolutely amazing to be able to experience cats like this when they are totally unaffected by our presence. It's just spectacular. And if you haven't seen mating leopards before, that is interesting. A little bit grim, but interesting. Now that, of course, needs no introduction, but what you can maybe make out, and maybe get a little, that penis is barbed on the end, and that is what makes that such an aggressive affair, that mating.
That's the male.
Isn't that amazing? It's so close we can't even see. Now she's got up to follow. Oh, and he's now lying so close to us that we can't actually get a picture. You want to come round? Yeah. So I'm just calling them around the other side of us. Somebody has just made a joke. I didn't get the name. Here she comes. She's just coming out of the darkness now. There she is. She's now going to try and induce him to mate with her again. This is amazing. They're basically almost in the car. Look at this.
Amazing.
Isn't that the most blood-curdling noise? And somebody couldn't get the name, I'm afraid. Radio communications are not great. Made a wonderful, well, not so wonderful for Tingana, and clearly incorrect statement that maybe he needs a little blue pill. He does not need anything of the sort. He's performing admirably this evening. He's walked off. He's lain down. I can just see him. He's just in front of this other vehicle, so we won't be able to see him until we move. And she'll watch him continuously. She'll hound him. She'll make sure that she stays with him, because it's her, as you can see, that creates, or doesn't create, it's her that is the seductress. It's completely unlike it is with the human beings, but mainly it's normally us men that are then trying to seduction. A little bit forward. don't think we're going to be able to follow them in there, to be honest. And did you need this light on?
Off might be nice, actually.
Okay. There we go. So, everybody, here she comes again. She's coming down the hill. And an interesting question, I think it's from Beth. She is now, of course, mating with mother and daughter, or he is mating with mother and daughter. Let's say they both have cubs. Let's say one's male, one's female. Would the cousins, well, they'd be cousins, I suppose, and second cousins, amazingly enough, first and second cousins in the same way. Would they mate with each other? Would they know about any sort of kinship recognition? I think they would mate with each other. I don't think it's unusual, and it certainly doesn't seem to harm the society. Wow. This is just spectacular. Alright, everybody, I'm afraid we can't spend too much longer here because there are another 2 people trying to get in here. So we are going to probably leave the next 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to find out where those other stations are. But we did have an incredible view so far. Station on standby for... Oh, no, hang on a second. I don't have radio comms now. Louis, is the other chap coming in? Okay, cool. Alright, so we don't have radio working at the moment.
Are you going to try and follow them through here?
Yeah, I'll try to go around the side where Andrew came in. Let's see if we can't get through this rather thick bush. I think he went up there actually. Yeah, they've gone through some pretty thick stuff, everybody. So we'll try and make our way. We might need a gear. There we go. Sorry about that. Hold on tight, everyone. We might lose Andrew. It's okay. Can fetch him in the morning. You right there, Andrew?
Yes.
Aerial's still okay?
Plus minus.
Plus minus. Good. Okay, let's get it around here. Ooh, large termite mound. So they came up here into this area. So, 2 days ago we watched Tingana and Karula also mating, and they had killed a buffalo together. And Arius, Lynn, you want to know if these two will do the same thing? They may well. I'm not sure. I've actually never seen it before, but I've definitely read about it before. Absolutely, they may well try and hunt together. I'm going to have to turn the radio back on because I can't tell what's going on. So I'm hoping it's not going to destroy the broadcast. There they are. Is that them there? I'm not sure. Is any station got visual of these two animals? Okay, copy that. They're at the dam. There we go. I'm just going to find out if anybody else is trying to get into the sighting. Are there any stations on standby for the sighting? Okay, copy that. Great news, everyone. We can stay. There's no one else coming to the sighting. So we'll just pop over the hill here, and there they are. Well, sort of. Not sure if we can hop over the hill without doing ourselves some serious damage. You see them there, there we go. We'll just let them walk quietly through there, and then we'll try and drive down there without causing too much noise. And do you think we can go straight over the top?
I don't see why not.
Okay, well, here we go. Oh, they're having a drink. Marvellous. We might be drinking with our Land Rover in next to them. Definitely the lovely odor of catfish rotting. And leopards will drink a lot after such a thirsty work on a hot day. They don't have to drink though, they get a lot of water from their prey. And just a quick recap for those of you who perhaps haven't been watching. I know Mo in Chicago, you've just joined us. This is Tingana and Shadow, 2 9-year-olds, and Tingana, the interesting sort of soap opera part of this Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful type part of this sighting, is that he was mating with her mother not a week ago. And apparently there is a sore on the back of his back left leg. I haven't seen it. Can you see it, Andrew?
He's not lying very nicely.
Yeah.
To see.
On her leg, seems to be a sore on the back of her left leg. I don't know, I didn't see it, I'm afraid. I don't think it's anything serious. She's certainly not limping at all, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Let's stay with him for now. I'll tell you why. Because if there is going to be any kind of mating, it will be her that induces it. So if we stay with him, she will come back to him, I suspect. She's just there, the other side of the dam. And just to clarify, I think Sherry, you're a bit worried about incest here. This is not a father and daughter. That's not to say father and daughter wouldn't mate as leopards. They definitely do it less than lions do, but it is possible that father and daughter could mate with each other. They say with these cats, or lions specifically, up to 6 generations of inbreeding can be tolerated before deformities start to be seen. And so, as I said earlier, now, we had a little bit of a debate about this the other morning when we saw Tingana with Karula, and Sheila in Illinois. You have correctly pointed out that 2 months ago, on the 21st, they were seen mating. Shadow and Tingana. Shadow is very clearly not pregnant. He's been seen mating with Karula as well. She hasn't fallen pregnant as yet, so she's had 2 matings with him before without falling pregnant. And as we discussed on Saturday, maybe he has a problem. Is he perhaps, not to put too fine a point on it, firing blanks? Well, I would say that was a possibility, Sheila, except that she has mated with Anderson as well. And we know that the Anderson male also didn't manage to conceive with her, so I suspect, I don't think it's an issue of that. I'm not sure why neither of them have conceived. Karula's getting a little bit old. That might have something to do with it. I think the fact that Sindile was still around when she mated with him last time perhaps would have, maybe she didn't ovulate, maybe she just came into kind of a forced or premature estrus and perhaps didn't ovulate because her less or just a year-old cub Sindile was still around. I'm not sure. I really couldn't say, but it is an interesting one going forward to watch if Tingana is perhaps not firing on all cylinders. I don't... And then far more traditionally, of course, now, to find her mating at this time is not unusual. It is with all the cats. As soon as they lose cubs, they do come into estrus. Sometimes it's a false estrus, sometimes it's a real one. And Mauritia, you're absolutely correct. The loss of Sandile recently could well have brought her back into estrus, although remember that she was mating. She did go through a full mating cycle with 2 male leopards before Sandile left. So now it's difficult to say. Fascinating stuff. It really is so interesting. And for those who perhaps new viewers, just to give you a quick recap of Sandile. Sandile was Shadow's, or is Shadow's son. He's a year old. He unfortunately caught a rabid dog not too long ago, and so he was taken away to a rehabilitation center where they were just going to check that he didn't show any signs of rabies. So far, so good. And they now are looking for a tracking collar, and it has to be a self-detaching collar because he's still growing so much, because they'll want to track his movements. So they're going to put a collar on him so that they can follow him. But it's apparently these collars that what they call self-detaching, so it'll fall off on its own as he gets bigger. Apparently they're very rare, difficult to get hold of, and that's one of the reasons that we aren't seeing him. Now, we had a comment about a possible injury on the back end of Shadow. Well, he's limping. Now, for a leopard, if that's a serious injury, that's a real problem. But he's in pretty good nick. It doesn't look like he's been injured for long. And look at the size difference. It really is astonishing. That doesn't look great for him, I have to say. That's worrying. He's far more interested in the game drives than he is in his duties as a male leopard. They prefer the seclusion of behind the Land Rover there. Let's move a little bit back. Now, there are lots and lots of questions about why, and I don't mean this from the viewers or necessarily, I mean from just generally about why on earth cats need to breed so often. And one of the reasons is that it helps to induce ovulation, and it helps to it induces ovulation and helps to guarantee a pregnancy. And actually, you want to know if the amount of times that they mate makes a difference to how many cubs they produce. Actually, it doesn't make any difference at all. 1 cub, 2 cubs, it doesn't make any difference. And that is just a simple fact of biology. And that simple fact of the biology is that every time a male mammal, and I think it's just about the same for every male mammal, ejaculates, there are millions and millions of sperm in that ejaculant. And what that means is that, if there is an egg there to be fertilized, it will be fertilized. How many cubs they have is purely to do with the number of eggs there are in the uterus or about to come down into the uterus from the fallopian tube. I'm just going to let some of the other guys have another look. We are all fervently hoping that one of these leopards will have cubs soon. I haven't seen leopard cubs here. I've seen them in other places, but not here. And wouldn't it just be the best, as Donna suggests, for us to have 2 litters of new cubs? So I'm afraid it's a little bit thick in here, so we may have to wait our turn before we get another proper look. But they are moving along the road, and I don't know if you saw there, he is definitely marking his territory, I think. Thank you very much. How's it going? Thanks a lot. while we're on the road here, of course, and they're moving down the road, not doing much, and we're in the way of various vehicles. Let's go across to Brent. If we get into a decent position, we'll come back and we'll look at them. Let's head across to Brent. He is with some much larger animals coming out of the water.
I'm so jealous of you guys and James right now. You guys must be having the most fantastic time over there. So what Brian and I have done is we've been sitting really quietly here and hoping to show you guys something we don't see too often. I'm just going to put the light on them quickly, and the hippos have been slowly moving closer and closer to the edge of the water, and we're hoping we will catch them leaving the Buffalo's Hook waterhole before the end of drive, heading out to go graze, and they have been moving ever so slowly closer to the edge, that they should be going out sometime quite shortly. So hopefully we may be able to catch them before they do. And also this is the last area where the tracks of Karula were seen, so also a good place to sit quietly and listen, and even maybe she might surprise us with a cameo appearance for a drink at the waterhole.
Going to be crossing back to the east. Thank you. I'll see you in the morning.
And that's Craig on his way home.
Good evening. I'm back to the east. Any updates?
I think Craig's got confused between his radio channels. Craig, you're still on the northern channel.
Can I speak to Tara quick?
Yeah, of course you can.
Tara for Andrew.
Just speak. Don't ask her to come in. No, she's talking to Brent.
Tara, if you can go back through the clips and record this stuff, that'll be great. I don't have a memory card.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Sorry about the bits of confusion. Every time I start the car, the radio cuts off. We are live, and we'll see if we can't get hold of these leopards again. We did see them mating yet again. So poor old Tingana, who was accused of needing a blue pill, clearly is doing his job. I can't see them in there. Oh, they're down the road. Are you guys pulling out?
That's it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, man.
Right, they're all ours. Wonderful. There we go, mating again. No, they're not. I don't know where she is. She will be around here somewhere. No, who's that? That's Mr. Mrs. is around here somewhere. We'll just gently move behind him. I'm not sure where his missus has gone. Look at that. So he's walking actually a bit easier. So he looked like he was injured. He's probably just a bit stiff from lying around all day. It's probably a slight injury. He and Karula, Shadow's mother, did kill a buffalo a little while back, a few days ago, young buffalo. But that was a big animal for him to have killed, and perhaps he got a bit damaged during the hunt. Okay, we're going to quickly go across to Brent. I'm going to keep with the leopard. See you just now.
So there go the hippos. We're just going to show them quickly and say our quick goodnight. Sorry we weren't able to be out there for the most of the safari, but it seems like we've fixed our technical issue for now at least. And so from Brian and myself and the large bottoms departing the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, hopefully we'll see a lot more of you on the sunrise safari, and have a wonderful evening and enjoy those leopards with James.
Right, you're back with us. Tingana is marking territory. He's walking along a territorial boundary here. He's marking territory. I don't know where she's gone. But like I said, it'll be best to stick with him because she, of course, is the inductor or inducer of this mating episode. He won't go chasing her. She will chase him. So we'll follow him and see what happens. I mean, I can't imagine that she isn't around here somewhere. She may have got sick and tired of it and moved on. It's not likely to happen though. He is definitely limping. Can you see that? Now the crucial thing for leopard, okay, it's dangerous for them to get injured. They are not like lions, so they live totally on their own, and if they do get injured, of course, there's no one to help them feed. And so he will need to get over that very quickly. Carry on slowly. I think that this injury was probably caused during that hunt, either during that hunt with Karula the other day, where they took down a buffalo together, or it's possibly during all this mating. Now what you notice is that when they come across, or when he dismounts, what happens is she flicks over and she starts to, she'll hit him, and perhaps her claws got into him, and that may be what's wrong with his foot. I don't think, as I'm afraid I missed the name because we were starting the car, I think it was Abby, maybe. Abby, I don't think that it was caused by a territorial fight. If leopards have a territorial fight, and it's not usual, it's unusual, normally they'll just sit next to each other and growl, a bit like two men facing off in a bar, neither of them wanting to really test one against the other, and that's what leopards generally do. And if he had had a proper territorial fight, he'd be sore on the head. He'd definitely have taken some hits and bites on the top of his head. So I think this has been caused by mating or the killing of that buffalo the other day. I just hope it heals. Now apparently this is not the first... I've gone to sleep. There she is. Look at that. She's just gone out in front of him. She's looking for him, and he's hiding from her. Too late, chum. She's got you. He's so irritated that he's been spotted. This is just unbelievable. He's had a guts full of this. He's trying to mark his territory, and all she wants to do is, his mind is not on the job at all. Side light, Andrew. Are you okay with that?
Just put the side light.
Okay. Does that help?
That's good.
Okay. Sneak a little bit forward. Now, the good, very, very good news about what they're doing now is they're heading straight towards Djuma. That means we should be able to have them to ourselves tomorrow with any luck. He is playing hard to get. He is disinterested. He's marking his territory. He's a man on a mission, and he's being distracted, and it's starting to irritate him. You could see as she came up, he put his ears back, turned his head as if to say, "Oh, really? Now?" Again? Surely not. Alright, so everybody, we are going to, let's just watch what happens here. It's nearly time for us to go. Let's just watch what happens here. See if they actually do get it on, as it were. But he is just not interested. This is marvelous to watch. We'll just watch the end of this little sequence of seduction. There we go. There, well done. Brave fellow. Well done, Tingana. Now you can see how that might well have hurt his foot. Don't hurt his foot, Shadow. Wonderful. So, Carla, as you say, every man's hero is Tingana. Well, certainly some men's heroes, like the script from The Bold and the Beautiful circa 1989 or so. I think that's when I last watched it. So, as they walk off into the darkness, it's time for us to say goodbye, a very quick goodbye. We've run a little bit over time, which of course is no problem for us at all, and I'm sure if you're on the internet there enjoying this, it's probably no problem at all as well. Big thank you to Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for all your technical work today on the camera, and good job with the filming. He's put a blinding light on the top of his camera. I actually will probably not see before the morning. Big thanks to Brent for his 3 minutes on camera today, with Brian, and of course to Eugene and Tara and Louise and all the work that they do, everybody, tomorrow morning for the Dawn Safari. Thank you for your questions and comments. Always appreciated, especially from our newer viewers. Tell us where you're from next time round. It's good to hear from you. Stay safe and happy wherever you are in the world, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 05:30. Bye-bye.